Oh my gosh, we're recording. So oh my goodness. Welcome to the Design and Style podcast, a podcast for designers by designers. And I am your co-host, Rachel Moriarty, with my design firm, Rachel Moriarty Interiors. And I have with me the lovely Dixie.
Yes, Dixie with Dixie Willard Design, also known as Designing Dixie.
Or Wixie. You can call her
Or
Wixie.
It depends on how well you know me.
Oh my goodness. We've been sneaking laughing when we started the podcast because before hitting record, I was recording her with my phone as she was touching up her lipstick. And so she hit record early to get back to me. So
no, I wouldn't do that.
Not you. You're sweet. I can tell by your accent. You're really, really sweet.
I'm just a sweetheart.
So today, a lot of, I guess other solos, I don't know about you, Dixie, but I get asked a lot when I took the leap. There's a lot of decorating enthusiasts and side hustlers out there that, kind of want to be where we are. I mean, we have businesses, we have clients and projects, we have, the whole social media set up, we've got a podcast, we've got a blog. How do you get there?
First of all, I don't think I realized how busy we are. You say it all out at once, and it seems like
I know. We're designers, we're bloggers, we're podcasters.
I feel special now.
We've got it going on. It seems overwhelming if you are in a 9-to-5, or if you are, let's say you're a stay-at-home mom, or a student. It kind of seems like a long, kind of leap.
Yeah.
And what it really is a series of leaps. Doesn't happen overnight.
You don't have to jump in the deep end. You can actually start at the shallow end and go out slowly, slowly you need to.
Yeah, exactly. So Dixie and I kind of wanted to share our journey of leaps. Did you hear that beep?
I didn't.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm hearing hallucinating.
No, all I can hear is barking outside. So.
I don't hear that, so that's a good thing. You're not hearing my beeps in my brain, and I'm not hearing your dogs barking. So
it seems fair, really. I hear one thing, you hear another. It's all good.
It's all good. So why don't you start with some of your journey and your leaps and moments?
Okay. Well, I just knew that I was going to be a mechanical engineer.
How'd you get from there to here?
It's kind of a roundabout story. But it started, I had finally gone back to school because, life happens. I haven't always put things in the same order as you would typically do things. So I'd finally gone back to school. I had young children. Both of them were in elementary school, I think first grade and fourth grade when I went back. And I was studying mechanical engineering, and I did 2 semesters, which was my junior year, basically. And at the end of it, realized that it was incredibly boring and not at all what I wanted to be doing. So
it sounds so interesting.
Well, there are aspects of it that I absolutely love, and luckily those are the same ones I still get to use.
Right.
But it just wasn't lighting my fire. It wasn't, the passion wasn't there. I could do it, but I wasn't passionate about it. And really my first choice after that was to be an architect. That was what if I had had an option to go to school and get a bachelor's degree in just that, especially with my kids at home, that's what I would have done. But unfortunately, the University of Hawaii had certain programs set up, and it wasn't an option for me. So I took some time and research to find out if there was anything like architecture, but not quite, that wasn't going to be quite as stressful. And interior design, I finally discovered, isn't only Oh yeah, that was, I'm pretty sure that I heard that noise.
Yeah.
I love colors, so that part was fun. I love space planning, and I was just excited to find out that it could be so much more. Like that you could start at the same time the architect starts on a project and have just as much influence, if not more,
Right.
because you're, on the day-to-day stuff. So
Yeah.
for me, that was the big defining moment that I realized this is something that I could do. And it was so funny because my mom, when I finally called her and I was like, I'm thinking about changing my major to interior design, just said, well, of course.
Really?
She did. And thinking back over, my childhood, it only made sense. Like all of the stuff I had done as a child, the way that I had played with my toys, she was like, of course you're going to be a designer. So that was the biggest step for me, was going to school and getting that degree.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then after that, once I graduated, I went to work for an architecture firm for a year because I knew I wanted to do commercial design. And
What do you do now, Dixie?
a strictly residential. The best laid plans. I knew that I wanted to do commercial. But I've come to realize that it's more about the personal relationships and being able to help people on a more personal basis. That to me is what really makes me just so happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then eventually I decided, after my husband retired, we decided to move to Tennessee, kind of on a whim. We had been planning it for years, but we finally just went, you know what? Why are we waiting? Let's just go now. And so less than 6 weeks, probably closer to a month after we made that decision, we moved from Oklahoma to Tennessee.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And that was when I officially started my own design business. And it has just been so amazing. And it's one of those things where I just feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm so happy with it.
Is there any so you left your design firm. Let's just track back. You left the architecture firm.
Yes.
You moved to Oklahoma. So you left Hawaii, you moved to Oklahoma.
Oh, I left it cold out, didn't I?
You like, whoa.
Chunk of like 15 years.
How many years was there? So how long were you in Oklahoma?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years. I just,
you just skipped over a decade, sister.
Okay, so when we moved, my husband was in the Air Force, and when he got stationed in Oklahoma, I went to work for a small family-run furniture store. They'd been in business for like 50 years, had some great brands like Henry Don and Wesley Hall and Hancock and Moore and a bunch of really great stuff. And I loved it. I was actually their bookkeeper. So I wasn't just a designer or a salesperson. I was also a bookkeeper, but it still wasn't enough. And I have to say, the thing that made me go back to school, because I did go back to school again, was when I had helped a lady choose her third sofa in a year.
Oh my gosh.
Each of them over $5,000. And I was like, I feel like there's something more. And she just got it and decided, I don't like this one. And she'd just get rid of it and would just donate it. And I just decided there had to be something more than just helping people with more money than they knew what to do with pick out sofas. And so I went back to school to get a degree in not-for-profit management and leadership, which was a business degree. So that's where the statistics and economics and all of that came in. And I actually...
You get so starry-eyed. I know this is a podcast, but if anybody's watching it amazes me that every time you say economics and statistics, there's this starry-eyed thing that happens to you.
And it was a close call because I had all of my because I took multiple economics classes and statistics classes, and my professors really tried hard to convince me that I wanted to become an economist and not continue doing interior design.
Oh, wow.
So for me, I still love hearing, I listen to business news shows on my radio. I'm Sirius. It's got all of the choices there. And so that's while I'm driving, I'm listening to business news, and I'm such a nerd. I mean,
I'm listening to design podcasts. That just shows.
I'm listening to stuff about numbers. She's listening to stuff about, well, it's still relevant.
I listen to style podcasts too. I do design and style podcasts, funnily enough.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
It's
no news.
Perfect.
No economics.
Whenever they actually canceled the major that I was going for, and so I quit going back to school, went back to being an interior designer, and worked for, that's when I worked for Williams-Sonoma for a while, and then Ethan Allen. And that kind of sums up that 10-year gap that I just sort of, hopped over. And so now we're back to this. So for me, interior design, I love the numbers. I love the drawings. I love the space planning. Color's fun. Fabric and furniture are fun. But
lumens are fun.
Lumens are fun. We were talking earlier that I did a lighting plan recently, and I was so happy to calculate the lumens that the couple needed for their new home.
Yes, I love it. See, you always bring those calculation bits back in.
I love numbers. I've got, that's what my associates is in math.
How many degrees do you
I actually only have 2 degrees that I've actually
finished. Oh my gosh.
But if you go back to the number of classes that I have, it's going to make you fall over.
Equivalent of.
Yeah, like 4. Too many. My husband calls me a perma student because I love to learn.
Oh my gosh. So. That's great.
Yeah.
And which is good because, you never stop, especially in an online entrepreneurial business.
And in this design itself, it's always new and current, and you have to stay on top of the trends. So
yes.
At least I don't mind that part of it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. But now Rachel has a completely different.
Very different.
Don't go skipping any decades like I did.
All right, I'll try not to, but there's a lot of decades to this story. What? Oh, I was telling you a story. Okay, so I actually started out in fashion. That was my first love. Fashion merchandising was my first love. And it's so funny because you and I were talking before recording that we can't remember, anything from like yesterday or even earlier today.
Yep.
But I remember when there's those moments of clarity, really remember those. And so this had to have been, it had to have been around 2000, I'm thinking. And there was I was standing in line at Home Depot, and I picked up a magazine because we didn't have our phones then to look at, right? So you'd always pick up the magazines right there. There was an article about this new thing called home staging, and it was just like fashion merchandising, but it was for homes. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember getting the goosebumps. I remember that I'm like yesterday, like today. It's so funny when you have those moments, those like really pivotal moments. And within a couple of weeks, I had found a home staging and certification program. It was, I'm sorry, what did I say? Home staging and certification. That is not what I meant. I meant home staging and interior redesign. Have you heard of, do you know what interior redesign is? I don't know if you know that.
I don't. I'm assuming it has to do with using stuff that they've already got.
Yeah. So back in the day, it was when the HGTV was like, they had Decorating Sense, Design on a Dime. They had a freestyle show. I mean, they had all these and interior redesign was really it was a process, but it was using what you already own. So that was how I would just basically go in and kind of remerch people's homes with what they owned,
Mhm.
and I didn't bring anything else. Like, it was a trip. It was like, it's still one of my favorite things to do. I don't get hired to do it very often. And when I do, there's usually still some stuff I need to purchase to
Right.
like make it cohesive.
Mhm.
Um, but that's what started. That was my first. So that was, I would say, my first leap, because I took the leap out of fashion, which I had been in for decades, and
Which absolutely surprises no one who sees you because you always look amazing.
thank you. So it was, yeah, my first leap where I even had considered anything else,
Mhm.
and I put the time and the financial investment into this training. And so, yeah, that was my first leap. And what was my next one? Hold on, let me look at my notes. So I got that. It was a very different time, like I said. I mean, we didn't have cell phones. I think we had
Mhm.
email, maybe.
I think so. I think we did at that point.
Yeah, we had email, but it was really about, I remember like printing postcards and making flyers and,
Mhm.
dropping stuff off. Like, I remember like my son's gymnastics class had a community board. Like, you would do stuff like
Yeah.
that. You would leave flyers and stacks of business cards and stuff. It was really hard to get a business going then,
Oh, yeah.
and I remember it was like one of those days I was kind of hunting around on, well, there must have been an online. Yeah, we had online. I think we
Yeah.
had like
Yeah.
AOL action going
We,
on.
we had dial up.
Yeah, we had dial-up AOL action. Um, but I saw a ad for Ethan Allen, and that is when I was like, oh, I can
Mhm.
do my own, the way they sell it is like you can run your own business, but you're not Rachel Moriarty Interiors. You're like, you have
Mhm.
a showroom and you take whoever walks in the door, but you're not having to go out and look for those clients, which
Right.
was really hard then,
Yeah.
especially for a
Oh, yeah.
solo.
Yeah.
It was so hard. So hard. So I ended up working for Ethan Allen. And then after Ethan Allen, I went to Bassett, um, which was great because I didn't have any training in
Mhm.
design. And so for me, where I start is with, I don't build, I don't, I'm not doing any plans or anything, but I did learn about furniture construction and case goods and all the stuff that I work with.
Yep.
That is really where I got a great education on that. Plus, putting in POs, how to order stuff, how to track it, all of that stuff is super relevant to.
It seriously is. I mean, if you can put together a custom order for a piece of furniture, because sometimes
And
it
not
just
leave an arm off, or
right. I mean, it.
get the right legs, get the right cushion, get the right fabric, get the right,
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's so many components. It would be
It's
super
crazy.
overwhelming,
Mhm.
So I really learned a lot. That was super valuable experience for me. Um, but then life happened,
Mm.
and
Not
I got a
life.
life happened. I got a divorce and there was a recession, and I
Mhm.
went into banking because banking is the smartest thing to do when there's a recession.
Well, of course.
Why wouldn't you
Um,
go into banking during a recession? Um, and I was there 8 years, and finally
wow.
in 2014, I'd had enough. I'd shelved my creativity for a really long time. Banking was not I'm not like you, Dixie. If you would pop into banking, banking would probably be a lot easy for you, but for me, it
Uh-huh.
was like swimming upstream the entire time. I mean, credits and debits and I don't know, it was just like
Mhm.
it was so crazy. Like, learning that credits and debits when you're in the banking is the opposite of credits and debits when you're
Yes.
then when you're working on general ledgers, then it's opposite again. Like, it's just like, what? So yeah, that was like swimming upstream for me for like 8 years. It was just constant learning, and um finally got out of that in in 2015, I took the big leap into creative entrepreneurship. And I always call it creative entrepreneurship because it really is more of a business than,
Mhm.
I think once you get into it, once you take that big leap, you're doing more business than anything else. You're doing more
Yeah.
business and marketing,
Yes.
really. Yeah.
Yes. And that was actually one of the things. I was part of an entrepreneurship program when I was in school for interior design, and that was what they always said. You have to know the numbers, but you have to also understand that like at least 20% of your time should be spent marketing.
Hmm.
And when you're first starting up, it's pretty much all you
All
do.
the time because you don't have clients
Yep.
and you've got to get them. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, you have to set up. So that was really, it was May 1st. I always call it May Day. It was May 1st, 2015 when I quit my banking job. And luckily I had some momentum already from my side hustle. Um, but the reason we're going through our journey is because it's a series of leaps.
Right.
um, and looking back, if I were to give somebody advice, I would like really tell somebody to kind of vision things out. As you can see, things aren't really going to go to plan. Dixie started, she wanted to be an engineer,
Yeah.
then she wanted to be a commercial designer, and here
Hmm.
she is, 100% residential.
Yep.
But you have to take some action steps, whether it be, your first leap is, taking classes in a university or,
Hmm.
and getting the full degree like Dixie has, or the full 15 degrees like Dixie has, or, or just, I know my lane. I am not a numbers person and calculations and all that.
Hmm.
I know that I want the four walls up and then I can go to town.
Right.
So a certification worked fine for me,
Hmm.
and we both have successful solo businesses now.
Absolutely.
You know, and there's just many paths. There are so many paths, so many leaps.
It's like bunny hops, not a big kangaroo hop.
Yeah, it's not that like I think it kind of helped me to hear this like that like leap and the net will appear, but it really isn't like that. You know what I mean? It's like little
Uh-huh.
steps of faith.
Yes.
It's like you take a little step of faith and you
Mhm.
kind of stay there for a minute and then you take another, you get comfortable and then you got to get uncomfortable. You get
And that's the key. As soon as you feel comfortable, it's time to start
time to,
taking the
you
next
need to,
leap.
or you do not grow.
Yep.
Because once you start that business, you've got to start your blog. You've got
Mhm.
to start your daily live stream, your podcast, and it's just a what did you call it? Bunny hops?
Yeah, little bunny hops. And it's not necessarily along a straight line either. It's sometimes you go over here a little way, sometimes you go over there a little way, but everything that you do prepares you for the next step, I think.
So, what would you tell somebody that's like a side hustler or thinking of? Would you have them like vision it out? Like I'm such a
I
like
would.
vision person.
Okay, so everybody knows that I'm the numbers girl, right? If you didn't before,
I want to hear.
surely you
Okay,
do
I
now.
want to hear this. I want to hear this.
So I like numbers. I like hard, cold facts. And I thought that
Ew.
a vision board,
I'm all ew.
I know, makes me happy, makes Rachel kind of cringe. But I will say that the best thing I ever did for my business was to sit down. It was actually on my 40th birthday. And I only know this because when I went to pull up the file the other day to look at my vision board, it was saved on my 40th birthday.
No way.
Mhm. On my 40th birthday, I sat down and thought, okay, if I could picture what I want to be doing, I was thinking like 5 years down the road, which for an Air Force wife was like crazy talk. I didn't realize that 95% of it would happen within a year. But that I guess what I'm saying is I sat down to put all this stuff together. I had this vision board and I focused on it, and immediately things within 2 weeks we were talking about moving. After we've been planning on moving for how long and we're still putting it off, within 2 weeks we decided we were going to move. Within, however long after that, I started my business officially here in Tennessee. So all of those things that I put on this vision board, I'm telling you, it's crazy, especially for people like me. But that was the best thing I ever did. Being able to
That's
picture
great
it, the
advice.
life that I wanted. And then, of course, I still go back and update it every so often, because once you've gotten something, you need to picture something else that you want to accomplish.
Mhm. Well, it's so funny because I got lucky because I got a vision. Like you created your vision.
Mm-hmm.
I got a vision. I was working in a bank. I think I may have talked about this before. Um, but I got a vision. Have I talked about this before?
I don't
Future
think
me?
so. No.
No?
No.
So I was sitting in my bank job, of course, and I'm like super airy fairy, like in my like when there's like downtime. And I was
Mhm.
probably on House or something, Pinterest. Um, no, but I got a vision of me when when I was like 80 years old,
Uh-huh.
Dixie. And I had this, of course, I had a pixie, but it was gray.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have to imagine I'm sitting in I was in downtown San Diego in a high rise at my desk in corporate clothes. I was a private banker with really high net worth clients. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I get this vision of like 80-year-old me, and she's got this cool, pixie that's completely gray, which I can't even imagine, but, um, and she had on these like, she just looked very global, and she had this tunic on, and she had all this like chunky like silver, like real
Mm-hmm.
silver and like turquoise jewelry, and she was in this artist community in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which I've never been.
So basically, you're describing yourself as I can see you right now. If you're not watching the video, you should go and watch the video, because she looks aside from the color of her hair and the age of her face, exactly like
or
what she's describing.
or Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Well,
Um,
but you kind of got a Santa Fe vibe to what you're wearing.
I
So
do. I've got a Southwest thing
mhm,
going on today. How
you
funny that I'm
do.
talking about that, huh? So, yeah, so it happened, and I'm telling you, it was like I just snapped. It was a flash, right? But I remember thinking that moment, another one of those clarity moments, like when I heard about home staging, was I need to close the gap. Like I need to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And that vision has magnetized me. But I was thinking, just like you were thinking like 5 years. I
Yeah.
mean, I've still got like 30 years to go before I'm 80 or whatever, more than 30 years. I was thinking such a long game. It sort of got me looking like, thinking, I could like, I started thinking like, why would I want to retire? Like I could do something I love, like until I'm,
Uh-huh.
whatever, till I'm 80, till I think of Iris
Yes.
what is her Apfel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of that. Like that's what I started thinking, really long game. What happened was it happened so quickly after that because I had come home. I had sort of run the numbers too, in the sense that how much do I need to make this leap?
Right.
And when I did that, I kind of like came up with this number, and I'm not kidding you. It was a couple of months. It was like less than 6 months. And it seems like impossible because we were not saving at all. And
Mm-hmm.
it was just like, I just took an inventory. Like, okay, I started like, I was not paying attention to my money. And I was like, oh, yeah, I have that account there. And I have, like, all of a sudden, when I took inventory, I was like, holy cow, I can do this. We almost had to put an E on our podcast. But had I not gotten the vision, now
Mhm.
with hindsight, I would say create the vision. because that will it magnetizes you, just like you did with your vision board.
What's cracking me up though is I'm the numbers and facts girl, but I needed a vision board. You're the opposite. You needed to do the numbers. Isn't that weird?
So weird. That is so weird. That is so weird. I just realized that.
Yeah. I'm sitting here listening to you tell your story, and I'm like, oh, it's like the exact opposite.
That you would think. Like you would have thought that you would have run the numbers.
Right?
And I would have created the vision board.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Do it all, folks.
Yeah. Do it all, because there's no one way.
You have to know, right? You have to have the vision, and you have to know that you have the runway to be able to launch your business.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So do it all. Do it all. It all works.
That pretty much.
There's no wrong choice. And I think we should just end right there.
I think we should. That's perfect.
That was perfect. Well, thank you guys for listening to another episode of Design and Style.
Bye, guys.
Bye.